Yes, just the whole 9 yards.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, your robot here uses conveyor belts to get the ball picked up off the ground and up to the shooter. So these conveyor belt, the lower conveyor belt is run by, hiding back in the corner here, a window motor. And with about a 4-to-1 gear ratio to speed it up, because that window motor turns at about 1 revolution a second, so we're speeding it up to about 4 revolutions a second.
Okay.
Hiding back in there. And then you have your guides here that guide the ball up. Okay, those guide the ball up to this upper level here.
Okay.
Where the other conveyor belt system, run by this window motor, then travels all the way around like this to this point, where the ball is blocked by our loading mechanism.
Okay.
Okay, now we have our loading mechanism, which uses a globe motor on the back here. And the movement of that globe motor is stopped by these limit switches, one on the top for the reverse position and one on the front here for the forward position.
Okay.
We don't have our shooter. There it is.
Oh.
We're going to just toss this over here.
Okay.
The shooter system uses 2 Fisher-Price motors through the Andy Marks tough boxes. The gear, and we're using 4-inch drain pipe, ABS drain pipe as our material inside, and floor sanding foam there. We have optical encoders here, and the gears inside have been CNC machined to lighten them. And on the rotation of the Lazy Susan, we have an option of 2 different motors. We have, currently we're running it with the RS 545 motor tied into a globe motor transmission, and then that goes through a gear to turn it, and that the position of this is monitored by this gear, which is turning this 10-turn potentiometer. So this gear has 10 teeth on it, and 10 turns would give us 100 gears on the other side of rotation, which gives us about 310 degrees of rotation.
Until I'm clear of the tension. Into that, and then I'm going to wrap it up and around
Okay, inside here,
over the top.
you know, you've got your motors disassembled right there, so it's
Oh,
hard
yeah.
to demonstrate
I'll
that.
pretend they're there.
Okay, pretending they're there.
Take that up
You've got your motors mounted inside here with a
And that's analog input number 1 on that.
maybe a Gates, I'm not sure the manufacturer, but a pulley.
Plug it into
Oh,
analog input number
Oh yeah,
It's
we have the
instead of
drive.
chain. So it's much quieter this year than in past years, since we're using the rubber material.
Get that all over there.
So we have 4 motors. The front 2, all of them could be rotated for steering, but only right now only the front 2 are being rotated. A motor somewhere in the vicinity. You see our steering motor? There it is.
Oh,
right
yeah.
hand. Yeah, there's your steering motor. That's the steering motor.
That lays right there.
So the steering motor,
Plate.
that's okay,
Yeah.
sits on top here, something like that
Yeah.
maybe.
Right there.
And
Okay.
it turns,
This end needs to be
it rotates
labeled
this wheel,
steering sensor.
and then there's a gear and a chain that comes across to the other wheel and rotates that wheel, so they follow each other. And the rotation of this wheel is monitored by this pot here,
Pull that
which
the other side.
Where are the scissors?
is another
No,
linear
the other-
potentiometer,
The other, yeah, that one.
and that puts out
That
our
needs to
voltage
be labeled
for
steering
rotation.
sensor. Okay.
This one?
Yes, ma'am. And
What else can I tell you, Vicky?
Let's see.
Can I tell you about electronics, or you want to?
Yes, electronics would be nice. Are you making my room?
We're only using one, so we could probably lose that too. Putting the robot on more of a diet, we just lost another module. We're only using 2 modules.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay,
Put that away.
so
Um,
the first module is required for monitoring the battery voltage, and that's the only reason we're using it. It's a requirement by first. Otherwise, all of our connections are going into module number 4, which feeds the digital sidecar over here, right there.
Okay.
And you can see a lot of cables in there. All these PWM outputs up here feed the 4 drive motors, the steering motor, the shooter drums, and the
what does that say?
rotation of the shooter.
Okay, she's got the end of it.
Down here,
You said 2.
Okay, and then right here.
let's see, down over here on the left, we have our spike relays. We have the 2 different conveyor belts, the bottom conveyor belt on 1, the upper conveyor belt system on 2, and on number 3 we have the ball loader mechanism.
So it's not loose.
So those are running to the spike
Okay. So
relays,
you wanna
which are
run
down on
these
that end of the robot down there, those black
up and
boxes
back
right
over
there.
This way, the same way
Those
that
are the
last
spike
one
relays.
was. Okay, so the same way as this is, it'll run it back over this way.
All of our
So not
optical
that, this
encoders,
Follow this back.
each wheel has an optical
Follow this
encoder,
back to the
and the 2 shooting
Over there, all the
drums
way
have
back.
optical encoders. Those
Okay.
are all of these connections here.
it's got to get held up to the rail so it's up and
The
above
last
everything.
2 inputs here
Let's get this out
on
here.
the digital I/O ports
On this
here.
rail.
These last
So
2
it's clear of
will
the
be
Okay.
the
Okay, so you gotta have it
ball
over like
loader
that, same way, up,
limit switches.
over like that. So
We
it's
also have
out of
limit
the way.
switches on the rotation of the shooter, and you can see up underneath here on the rotation
Like this,
a limit switch there,
tag there.
and one on the other side. Those limit switches will feed directly into over here where it says Lazy Susan.
See this gray one? Okay,
These
both of
2
these right there.
jumpers will be removed, and those limit switches will plug into those
We're gonna add
jumper
another one in there, so let's
positions.
hold on a second.
And when the motor gets to the
This is
limit
gonna have
switch,
to go
when Lazy Susan turns that far,
one,
it'll
and
trigger that,
This is
and
also
the
gonna have to fit in through
the motor speed controller will stop. The other
Yeah.
place where we have
Don't tighten
limit
it too much
switches
that. Kinda
is
like
where?
this,
Oh, we have those limit. We have those
yeah.
and
Make
these.
the mistake of tightening one up.
Let's see. We have another set of limit switches somewhere, don't we? No. No, okay, I guess that's it for limit switches.
That one.
Yes, that's it. I was thinking we had more, but we don't. I think that's your robot.
Okay.
Okay, what else?
So,
What else do you want to know?
why did we use this material versus the
We
other
first
one?
tried this conveyor belt material, and we were having problems